Hi there. So the first piece of technology that I would like to learn is Excel. Excel is an electronic spreadsheet program which allows its users to store, organize, and manipulate data. The program is set up much like a paper spreadsheet in a grid-like format with columns and rows, and the cells can hold various types of data, which can then be plugged into the formulas available or a formula that you create yourself, and you can use it with among the other cells so that you can copy and paste the entire spreadsheet and it will do all of your data and statistics for you. Um, and so it gives you a really quick analysis of the data sets. And then that raw data and the resultant data that you get can then be transferred into graphs or charts all within the Excel program. This is a really important tool specifically for science and biology because the labs require a lot of math and calculations in order to really reach scientific conclusions or create theories. And it also requires a lot of graphing, both line graphs and bar graphs. Um, and in the past, I've done all my calculations by hand, and that was fine. It just takes a lot more time. And they've also removed a lot of the math standards from the science curriculum, SOLs. And so I don't want my students spending a lot of time on the calculations. I want them spending more time on the meaning of the data and the actual analysis. Now, I have done it by hand or in Microsoft Word. There's a chart format, but it doesn't have the same functionality and ease of access as Excel does. I've been meaning to learn Excel for a really long time. I just haven't really put myself in a situation to do it. So having Excel knowledge would be a really good asset to building my pedagogical knowledge. It allowed me to run statistical data on assignments right after grading them and to help to determine students' knowledge, and it also helped my lessons within the classroom about time constraints. I wouldn't have to dedicate so much time to the analysis and be able to focus more on the content and the meaning making. Um, uh, this will also help my technological knowledge because its application during science labs would increase productivity and demonstrate how this type of analytical software has impacted the field of science. So how I'm going to show that I have mastered Excel is in two parts. The first part is I'm going to make an Excel 101 tutorial using my screen sharing, which I'll explain different functions and how they work, which I will turn in for the part one. And then the final example of my mastery, I will be setting up a master grade sheet that they could then use for all my other classes, um, which will have percentages for different homeworks and basically any tests that I can then have this template that I can use for all of my future classes, and will do all of my grading, which will also then make available to all of you guys in case you want to use it, which hopefully I've mastered it by then. Um, so the second piece of technology that I want to try and equate myself with is Google Classroom. So Google Classroom is essentially a virtual classroom where teachers can store class resources and post assignments, and the assignments can also be submitted through the portals in the Google Classroom. And then I can also disperse grades electronically, which would cut down on me having to take and do that time during the classroom. I want to really spend my time in the classroom working on the content and not delivering papers or grades or handing out resources. I can have them pull them up on their devices if available, and then I'll also save paper. Um, so it also allows for student teacher and student and student and teacher parent interactions. So this is also a really good messaging board. So during my student teaching, my least favorite part of the entire thing was how my students weren't able to contact me. It was always through email, and I don't check that as frequently as I should, but I constantly have my phone on me, and I can have Google Classroom on my phone, or when I'm on my Gmail, it'll give me a notification that I've received a message in Google Classroom, so it makes ease of communication a lot easier. And it also has, the school has, that I worked at, had a very strict policy of keeping grades, and it had a very limited number of prints that you could have per month. So this would alleviate a lot of the issues I was having during my student teaching. Um, And so also being able to set up and operate the Google Classroom will advance my technological knowledge because I'm employing the technology in a way that will assist and improve the learning process. I'm also going to operate such technology, we'll also call my technological pedagogical knowledge, because I will have to make decisions regarding when and how to use this tool for each class, which taking into consideration my knowledge of the students. This is going to be used as a tool, not as the classroom, and I need to determine how I'm going to weight that. So how I'm going to show my mastery of Google Classroom is I'm going to do very similar setup to the Excel. So the first thing I'm going to turn in is I'm going to create a tutorial for the technology, so a Google Classroom 101, if you will. And then the second thing I'll turn in is I'll create a mock classroom where I will upload assignments and model its features, so that I will, if when I enter teaching again, because right now I'm not in teaching, I will be able to have that up and ready to go and I can employ that as needed. And I will also figure out the little niche bugs and whatnot by doing that. So those are the two technologies, Excel and Google Classroom, that I really want to learn and really want to be ready to use and master. And the two ways that I'm showing them is going to be a 101 video and then an actual employment of the technology, either by making a grade sheet with Excel or by setting up a classroom in Google Classroom. So I hope that answers all the questions.